Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Women of HTM. You can have it all. If I'm not mistaken, Women of HTM has been around, I think, since 2019, talking to young women in small circles, whether it be for a biomed association group doing something in a particular state, or it being hosted by MD Publishing, or so it has been a fantastic voyage to be on. Danielle and I were on the very first one that they've ever had back in the day, so I kind of feel like we're uh, closing up the circle here. I named this one You Can Have It All because in the previous iterations of Women of HTM, we've always talked about the struggle, the glass ceiling, how do we get there? But it's time to have that talk about you don't just have to stop where somebody feels as if they can stop you. We're going to show you that these women have come through tremendous adversity to get to where they are, and you can do the same thing. And we all hope to help you to achieve whatever goal that you have in mind for yourself. Is that okay? All right. Can y'all hear me in the back? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start off with an introduction for myself because you can also ask me questions. I'll be responding to questions as well.
Okay. So
I am JC Newell, Jewel Newell, actually, but when your name is Jewel Newell and you're trying to get somebody to talk about a contract, it turns into a laugh fest. I've been laughed at emergency rooms, if you can believe that. But I've been in the biomed industry for about 24 years. I am an Army trained biomed. I started off as an aircraft electrician, only woman in my class and in my iteration, and only woman of color in my class at the time. It was difficult carrying the tool belt, but I enjoyed working on aircraft. But had to change MOS after my husband and I got into a car accident where my left side of my face was crushed in. I had a punctured lung, chest contusion, broke my first rib, both my arms. And I've had to have 3 surgeries on my eyes. But at the end of the day, they said, hey, you're going to have to get off the Black Hawk and you're going to have to work on these medical devices. I'm like, are you kidding? Once you work on a Black Hawk, there is nothing else. But I thought that I was going to hate it. I started working on those little devices and I'm like, get out of here. I don't want to do this. But then I found the purpose, the passion. You saw who was at the end of your work, and you saw how you were able to make sure that they went home. And that's the blessing in all of this. So at the end of the day, I came up through the ranks as a biomed tech, went into the civilian sector. Took me a while to grow, but I made senior tech in 4 years. And then I started working with Crest Services, traveling around for them, showing other techs how to work on equipment. And then I started working in their corporate office, made my way up to director of HTM at JPS Health in Dallas, Texas. And when they were outsourced, they moved me over to IT because the hospital didn't want to get rid of me. So they trained me in cybersecurity. So now I have a full-time job where I work for Kaiser Permanente as a senior cybersecurity project manager. That has been a very worthwhile experience because I had a chance to marry up my biomed experience with cybersecurity, and I am very grateful for the experience. And so I am my life is crazy, but I also own Newell Recruiting and Consulting, trying to help every technician find their perfect spot. Whether you be an ISO looking for a tech or a person looking for a job, it's about helping you find the perfect fit for your culture and your personality. All right, with that said, I want to introduce Ann Rovito. She is the Director of Healthcare Technology Management at Children's Hospital of Wisconsin.
Hello, everybody. I'm the newbie here. These three are well-known friends. I have been in the field for 34 years. I started out at a small community hospital. It was a 2-person shop. I can't say 2-man because I was the first woman and we were reported up through facilities. So my challenges started immediately because I was the only woman in those departments. And being a person of color had added some extra questions. I just recall one day, my coworker, I got called up to the OR, and this was like one of the first days of laparoscopic operating procedures. So we had all the coax cables running all over Kingdom Come, and he came in the room because I was troubleshooting video, and he actually took me by my shoulders and shoved me away and said, "I'll take care of it." Later that afternoon, I said, "Don't ever do that again." So that was the start, the first 5 years of my career. I got the opportunity at that hospital to design a cath lab. And as an engineer, electricity and plumbing, you kind of get. So that was my first experience doing that. Then I moved to a different hospital system, much bigger. Both of these were adult facilities. And there I spent 9 years. Just immersing myself in cath labs and electrophysiology. That became my thing. We did a lot of FDA protocols at that hospital, like 15, 17-hour cases. And the physicians were nice enough, because I was so interested to let me sit in and explain everything. And then I was walking by a coworker's desk, and I heard a coworker say, "Hey, Children's has an engineer position open." And I didn't say a word, but I applied that night because I was working 15-hour days, and that just, I was kind of done with that. The money was good, but I just didn't have much time. So I made the transition over to Children's, and being in the children's world is so much different than an adult facility. Jewel talked about, at the end of the day, the patients, the outcomes. It's like multiplied by 1 billion when you're working on kids. I started out as an engineer. I was in that position for about 13 years. It was, at the time, my director said, "We need a manager, so it would be between you and the other engineer." So the universe was guiding my path into leadership. I was gifted with that opportunity. And then my director retired, so 2 years ago, I became director. And so I lead a shop of 22. I'm happy to say we have 3 women, and we have a very diverse ethnic mix-up, which I think is just fantastic. We're really digging into the marginalized communities in Milwaukee, and we're making an effort to reach out and inform them about HTM. So that's one of the things I'm proud of, is getting those new people, those high school kids, really involved at an early age.
Awesome, awesome. Now we have Danielle McGeary, and a lot of you might know Danielle. She is the VP of HTM for AAMI.
Yes, thanks for having me, Jewel. Yeah, so I'm Danielle McGeary, for those of you who don't know me. I work for AAMI. Should I explain what AAMI is?
Yes.
I think people know what that is. So I feel like AAMI is a little bit of a misunderstood organization. Most people just view us as an HTM association, which we're not. We're a standards developing organization. So we develop consensus-based guidance documents that covers the whole ecosystem of medical devices. And HTM is just a part of that. So we have 3 verticals within AAMI: industry, which is the OEMs, manufacturers, sterilization, and HTM, which I'm over that vertical. So backing up, I grew up in New England. I'm so happy to be here. So many past colleagues that I've worked with. I went to UConn, 40 minutes down the road. Go Huskies! Yeah, I see you guys right there.
All the way in the back.
Home of the reigning national champions in basketball, if you didn't know. But no, I did my undergrad and grad at UConn. It was really a blessing. I was a undergraduate biomedical engineering major, about to graduate, and was like, I don't really want to do research. I don't want to sit in a lab. I'm not really sure what I want to do with that degree. I went into biomedical engineering because my mom's an ER nurse, and I grew up with the stories around the dinner table of all our patients, and just had such an interest in healthcare. But I didn't want hands-on patient care, probably like many of us. But I wanted to help. And when I heard that there was a grad program right at UConn where you can be on the front lines, helping patients through medical instrumentation every day, I was like, that's what I want to do. So I interviewed and fell in love with Hartford Hospital. And for those of you who aren't familiar with the program, it's kind of like matching with medical school. So you interview at all the hospitals that are part of the program. you pick your top 3, they pick their 3 favorite people, and then that's how you get placed. And so you can get accepted into the grad program, but you have to get an internship to be part of the program. So I got into Hartford Hospital. I saw so many of the past techs here that trained me. They've known me since I was 21, a little puppy dog, clinical engineer, and I wouldn't be here without them. So I started as a clinical engineer. They hired me. I stayed there for about 6 years. Then got the opportunity to go over to the VA. I was their service chief or director of clinical engineering for about 5 years and worked with Elena, another UConn grad over there. And it was awesome because it was a women-run shop, so it was pretty fun. We had a good time. But at Hartford Hospital, the whole 6 years I was there, I was the only female at the time in the shop the whole 6 years. Then I did a short stint at Aramark for a year. I was a district manager, covered all their accounts in the Northeast. They're now part of TriMedics. Then I got the opportunity to come to AAMI, and I couldn't imagine doing anything else. So I'm so excited to be here, and thanks for coming to hear us talk.
I'm assuming that she got picked up for the program based on her energy. It's a little infectious, so just watch that when you're around her. And then we have Almetha Ford. Almetha Ford is a juggernaut in our industry. She got out some time ago and came back to the forefront of our industry. She was who I looked up to when I came up in the ranks. She was my mentor. But Almetha is the owner of HTM Intelligence, and she is a co-founder of IHTM. She is also a cybersecurity consultant for Tata, working for Johnson & Johnson. So, Almetha.
Okay, so I'm sorry. I'm going to sip off this chair.
I know, I need to stand up too. It's like really hot up here.
It is. No one will be laughing at my assets hitting the floor. So I'd like to just start with, how many people, raise your hand, have been in biomed 5 years or less? Ooh, didn't I say that?
Okay.
How many people have been in 10 years to 5 years? And how many people have been in here 10 years or more? There we go. Did you guys see the hands that went up in the past 5 years? The people 5 years or less, put up your hands again, because I want people that have been more. Look at that change.
Wow. Look at that
Look at
growth
that
of women
change
in
and growth.
HTM.
That's really cool,
Can
you
we give
guys.
a hand for that?
When I used to come to these conferences and go to each booth, I was ignored half the time. I guess they thought I was a waitress or something that was just coming in and doing stuff, even though I had this. But it was so hard just to get acknowledged and to get talked to by some of the vendors because we were so few. So cheers to all of you. I'm so happy you guys are here. And I'm so impressed to see the number that came in to talk with us. So I'm Almetha Ford. I've been in clinical engineering since 96. I got my associate's degree. But before then, if you want to know what got me into this, well, we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
Okay, so I got my degrees, double degrees, in one in microprocessing and one in clinical engineering. After school, still didn't know what the heck I was doing. So thank God for an internship. And then I had a mentor. Her name was Gail Robinson. Love that woman to death. She's still my coach, my mentor, my friend, my everything. When I'm struggling with sometimes with life stuff or struggling with work stuff, I go straight to her. Even though she's retired, she's my world. So keep those people that mentor you, keep in contact with them, because you never know when you'll need that.
And if you need one, reach out.
Reach out, because we're here. So I did that. I did entry biomed. Luckily for me, my first biomed job, I had a female director and another biomed tech with only one man. That was all. The problem was it fell under facilities, which is all men, so you know what that director looked like to my biomed manager. But anyway, but it still allowed me to do things because it was a smaller hospital, and because there was so much that he could do, it allowed me to do ventilators and everything else. I was able to get my hands in a lot quicker than being in a bigger hospital. So usually if you go into a bigger hospital, when I was doing my internships, I could do thermometers, pumps, you know, they start you on all the lower end stuff. But then I started to get to the monitors and patient monitors and the servers and the networking and stuff. That was really exciting and I loved it. So I did that for a while, 3 years. Then I got back to Philadelphia because I couldn't find a job in Philadelphia. how the heck with 5-something hospitals, health systems, you can't get a job there? Well, anyway, so I was able to get my experience in and then be able to take it back to Philadelphia. I worked for Thomas Jefferson University Hospital for a while, went from a biomed 1, as far as they still kept me, even though I had training and stuff, all the way up to a senior biomed. Then I wanted to grow. And so the one thing I would always say is tuition reimbursement, that's your worth. Use it. Don't sit on it. Don't let anybody take it with you, because at the end of the day, that goes with you. That degree, that education is yours and it goes with you. So I then took that. I got a job because I loved governance and policies and environmental care requirements and stuff like that on and staying regulatory. So then I went to be in Nova Health System and became a clinical engineer. So I was doing all the inspections and everything else. But the problem with that, when you do that, there's only 1 or 2 people in that field, and there's hardly any growth because you're not managing anybody. So then I became a supervisor with, master plan, when they did biomed back in the day. So a
They
lot of
don't
these places,
exist
wow.
Just say an old
They
company.
jump like different companies. So I did that, and I was a manager. Phillips, I was a manager. Then Trimedics, I was in Alaska. So I always used my positions for places I always wanted to be. Someone said, I was applying for Arizona. They said, how about Alaska? I said, that was a bucket list. Let's go for it. So I took that and worked there for a while. I loved it. I think I partied more in the lower 40 up there than the lower 48, but that's another story. That's a 6 o'clock story. We'll talk about that. And then I kind of got quiet for a little while because I had health issues. But then I came back. Then I also, like I said, one of the degrees I got was, I got my bachelor's degree when I was at Thomas Jefferson, but I couldn't get an IT job because I was healthcare management information technology, because people were confused back in the day. Are you biomed or are you IT? Not understanding that here we are today, you really need to kind of understand both to be eclectic in what we do. So I got that. I worked at a children's hospital. And when she said about children's hospital, totally different environment. When you see smiles from these kids, when you walk in the hall and doing things and not the grumpy and upset, it's a whole another lifting experience. So I worked at Children's Hospital doing medical device integration. So that opened up a whole bunch of other windows, and I was doing projects. And then I was told, hey, we got all these medical devices that are coming up on security scans. What do we do with them? Well, I was a senior analyst, so then I had to figure out how do we handle that. That sent me into cybersecurity. So then I got my master's degree in cybersecurity. Again, let your job pay for it. So I got my degree in cybersecurity and learned in industrial control cybersecurity, because when you're dealing with medical devices, 9 times out of 10, you're talking about legacy and how do we develop those. So I did that, and then I've been working in medical device cybersecurity in a hospital, and now I work for a consulting company that hires me out to other companies to help them build their medical device cybersecurity programs. So I hope that helps.
Thank you, Almetha. Everybody's hot up here. That's why we're standing up. But,
And there was a bug, so that's why
Yeah.
she was doing the dance.
look,
It fell from the
I
ceiling.
can't do it, not the big flies. So if you see me jump around or something, I'm from Mississippi. I'm used to bugs, but I don't do big flies. That reminds me too much of big flying roaches. I can't do that. You know, if Jennifer Chester in here, you want to see Jules karaoke? Hey, it's me flying out here from something that flies. That's my karaoke. All right, so let's get started here, ladies. And one of you could take this first. What led you to choose HTM as a career choice? So let's start with Danielle.
I think I kind of said it. So my mom was an ER nurse, and I, wanted to go into healthcare and wasn't really sure what I wanted to do. So I was graduating with my engineering degree, and then found I was at a Biomedical Engineering Association meeting at UConn. So always network, go to things, because you never know what kind of opportunity, because all you need is an opportunity, right, to grow your career. And the opportunity was learning about the program. Obviously, you have to do the rest, apply and get in, but the opportunity. And I think Bryant was saying that with all the outreach that he does, is giving people opportunities. And so I heard about it, got in, and the rest was history. I couldn't imagine doing anything else. And I love this field so much. So.
Okay, awesome. And what about you?
Oh, so my mom was a med tech. So I had a similar growing up experience. I wanted a hospital experience. My dad is an engineer, so they sent me to Michigan Tech University for a 2-week Women in Engineering summer camp. You got to spend 2 days following a current student and spending 2 days in every single discipline that they offered. At the time, I got a tennis scholarship, so I was all set to go. And then I thought using my biomedical engineering degree, from there, at the time, you got a biology degree and an engineering degree. It was a 5-year program, so then you can go in whatever direction you wanted. I had the aspirations of going to med school, and that obviously didn't pan out because I just got sick of school. And I didn't go to Michigan Tech because I went on a school visit in January. And if you know where Michigan Tech is, it's way up there in northern upper peninsula of Michigan. And it was so cold that I just thought there's no way. I don't glacier ski, you know, and skiing season starts in September. Look at me, my ethnicity does not lend well to cold weather. So I ended up at Marquette's, and I entered the biomedical engineering program there. I graduated during a recession, and so I was working for a bank, temporary employment through Manpower. At the time, the Sunday paper had classifieds where you would circle jobs, and that is how I found my first job. Yes, I'm old. I said I was in the field for 34 years. Do the math. And I called the hospital the next day because I was visiting my boyfriend for the weekend. And I said, I'm in town. Can I interview? I had ended up not getting the job, but the person that did get the job actually didn't stay because he did not want to be paid $9.26 an hour to be an imaging specialist. So like, oh, we'll take you on temporarily, you know, until we find somebody. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll, you know, whatever experience I can get. So to Danielle's point, network, take every opportunity you can, even if it could be for a short time. I ended up being there for 5 years. They back paid my benefits and everything. I got to work on everything. And I think the most important thing I got out of it is what I did not like to do. I don't like lab. I didn't really care for the egos in OR, although I went to cardiology. So I think that's a bit of a similar dysfunction there. But yeah, it was just the opportunity, you know, get your foot in the door. And then I didn't even really know about HTM. I'm like, biomedical engineering, oh, that means med school, doesn't it? Kind of thing.
Or dental school.
Or dental school or some kind of research. I was just an average college grad. There was nothing spectacular about me. The two companies that came to interview when I graduated was Boeing and the Air Force. And I was not at the time, didn't think military would be my path. And so I went to work for a bank in customer service in the basement. And that's when they used to call and you actually got a real person and had to go back to the file room and look up there in a card catalog. So I got into it just by accident, by an opportunity, and circling an ad in the Sunday paper.
And just to add on opportunity too, as I back up a little bit. So, you know, just so people know my background, like I grew up in like, I don't know, we weren't poor, but we definitely were not well off. So I actually went to a very poor high school. I grew up in Southern Massachusetts, and our high school was actually on academic probation when we graduated. So we weren't sure that I'd ever like be an engineer or get into college. I got rejected from multiple colleges, and actually, yeah, someone from a school in Worcester told me I would never succeed as an engineer because of my just because of where I came from, right? They felt that we didn't have AP courses, we didn't have. So I got accepted to UConn as an undergrad, actually on affirmative action, because I was a minority, being a female at the time going into engineering. And they told me that they didn't want to reject me because I got decent grades in high school, but they were worried that I'd fail out my first semester because the depth of what I had learned from the school that was on academic probation wouldn't be enough. I would just, you know. So anyway, so they told me I had to do an 8-week pre-engineering program over the summer. So when all my senior friends for the senior in high school were out partying, I was at UConn doing an 8-week engineering camp. And I met some of my best friends there, talk about opportunities. I got in to UConn. I passed the 8 weeks, and it was pretty cool. They gave you like an $800 stipend and your first textbooks because most people came from underprivileged communities. That's really what it was for, giving people opportunities that didn't have them. And yeah, I was not a stellar student. I graduated undergrad with a 3.0, so I was not like your top tier engineer by any means, but I just loved it and just kept going back. And then in 2020, I got a call from UConn that they wanted to induct me into their Academy of Distinguished Engineers. So I wanted to find that person that told me I'd never succeed as an engineer, because I went to an academic probation high school. So, and my point is, it doesn't matter where you come from. It's about your drive, your opportunities. I could have easily said, well, I want to party with my friends my last summer, but I didn't, and now I'm here. And so definitely, it doesn't matter where you come from. Everyone can get an opportunity. So.
Love that. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. You looked at it and said, challenge accepted.
Yeah.
With parties on the side.
I just think people often look at me and don't assume that. They think I come from like a gated community or something, which is quite the opposite. So
it's kind of scary. Danielle has kids, and it's like, because she's so upbeat, you kind of wonder what her discipline is. It's like, does she look like the Joker when she's so it's just kind of funny to me. I'm like, I want to see her with the kids if they do something bad, just to see if her face changes. Cool beans. And Almetha.
Okay, I can't sit and talk at the same time because you'll definitely see me fall. So I come from a different than all the other ladies. So I got married at 19, had babies, boom, 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 18 months apart, 3 of them. The marriage didn't work. I was on welfare, trying to get through nursing school because they were going to help me through it. So I was in my 3rd semester, and the industry said, no, we don't need extra nurses. We're going to use LPNs and nursing assistants. So the hospital dropped their help, my stipend that I was getting. So I lived in Pittsburgh. I went to St. Bernard.
Oh, my grandfather lived in Pittsburgh. Yeah, my mom grew up there.
That's where I graduated from high school. And for those people that are not the A students, my father said they threw me out of high school. So anyway, and he paid for it because it was a Catholic school. So, so after that didn't work, I moved to Philadelphia. Philadelphia had more programs that would help people that needed assistance, and you had public transportation. So then, what did you do?
What did you do?
She's always doing something. Anyway. So I was on assistance. They had government assistants that helped me get childcare. My kids were starting like in grammar school, and Philadelphia had the assistants where they could put the kids in early in the morning and stuff like that. So I would go to school. I did AmeriCorps when it first came out. So I was doing volunteer that way to help get some stipends and some awards. I also applied for scholarships. So I got a couple of scholarships that would help me financially make it with my kids as I was going through welfare and trying to go through school. So I got my associates, and I was able to, so I was going for microprocessors. Didn't think I was gonna get a job because they didn't program microprocessor chips anymore. But because I already had my anatomy and physiology from nursing, I was able to take that, flip that sucker into double majoring. So I got a microprocessor associate's degree, and I got my biomedical technician degree. So it's not always opportunities. Sometimes you got to make your opportunities sometimes. So if you're struggling and stuff like that, don't wait for all those opportunities. You make it happen. You decide what you want to do, and you go for that. So I decided I was gonna go for that, and I became like the top out of 4 women that graduated from my biomed class. I'm the only one that got a job. Everybody else left the field. That's how difficult it was. Hard enough to get through school. I remember being at my teacher's office one day for tutoring, and I was sitting on the floor outside his door crying because I didn't get it, and he couldn't get what I couldn't get. But we sat there, and he worked with me. One of the few, because as women, it's hard for us to tell other people and other men that we don't get it. We're so used to just being quiet and making it happen and making it work. Speak up. If you don't get it, tell them you don't get it, and please explain it to me so I understand. You don't have to mansplain it. You can just talk to me and explain to me what I don't get, because once I understand it, I can share it to other people. I could tell her, I could tell him, and we can make it better, okay? So he explained it to me. I got it. I got honors for both of my degrees. And then I went on and I got the job, I said, in Jersey, because I couldn't get a job in Philly, got the job in Philly, and they let Thomas Jefferson pay for my bachelor's degree. So because I couldn't become a nurse because they closed the program. It now put me into this because I loved healthcare. I loved helping people and everything else. I started out as a candy striper. And when I was a candy striper, they taught me how to be a nursing assistant. And that was even before nursing assistants had to be certified. So it's always, I liked the healthcare part. And nurses said, oh, you'd be a great nurse. Thank God I didn't become a nurse. Just like, I'm better at babying equipment than I am with people. So, so I did that. And every step I did was thought through with industry. Where was it going? I used to argue with my professor, who was an instructor for the certification. And I said, why are we not doing networking and training and learning that? So, oh, you won't need it. 5 years later, they put it in the CPET. Okay. And he says, okay, you're right. So sometimes you got to see where the industry is going and you make the decision what directions you want to go. I got into cybersecurity because nobody else knew what was going on. I saw a gap. So I decided I was going to fill that gap and I had to learn it and took my time. And I did it well, raising 3 kids. So one thing I just want to say, and I said it to some of the ladies here and I see them in the back and stuff, we tend to try to take everything and do it. Yeah, get over it. Just try to take everything, right, and do it and make it happen. But you need to break it down. You eat a pizza, you eat an elephant, whatever you want to eat, one bite at a time. Don't take it all on yourself at one time. Take it, plan it, pace it. And I'll just be quiet on that one.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
We're kind of like flying.
We got the
over our
music.
time. Yeah, I have to sing. I don't like that memo.
No, I don't.
That was because I killed the fly.
Okay.
I stepped on it and I was excited.
The fly only drops when you're speaking.
I'm
The
serious.
fly only drops.
So what
when you're
Almetha
speaking.
was originally saying is there is no excuse. When you want to do something, you can find a way.
Yep.
All right. Why did you decide to transition into a leadership role? Let's start with you, Ann.
I was told that either you can, when my director retired, you can take this opportunity and grow into this interim position, or there will always be a position for you at Children's, which to me meant you're going to take it and run with it, or, figure something else out. She was pretty cutthroat, but I did learn a lot from her. So I think, contrary to what Almetha was talking about, I'm a late bloomer. I let the universe guide my career. I was not somebody that just realized HTM was this growing field and then how I can make a difference and how my work can impact and have an effect on the trajectory of the healing of the kids. So I realized this very late in my career. I want to say within the last 5 or 7 years, honestly. I did not want to become manager at the time because I thought I was really good at my engineer job. I was doing construction projects. I was learning workflows of the staff, really at the elbow of the physicians and the nursing staff. And I really liked that. I liked the grassroots stuff because I thought I was very effective at that. And I had very good working relationships. When I had the opportunity to become manager, all I could see was budget and performance evals. And those were the 2 things I hated the most. I said that I'm not good at those. I will never be good at those. And I don't want those because I considered it not the pathway that I wanted. Little did I know, a few years into it, hey, you know what? I'm kind of getting the hang of this. And for those younger folks in here, I don't know if you've learned or heard of imposter syndrome. So yeah, I still carry that monkey on my back quite a while, for quite some time. Still do. It can be intimidating at times, especially at the director level, because once I became director, it's oh boy, now there's big time budget, and now I have regular meetings with the C-suite, and it just kind of happened, and I realized the impact again that I can have on my team and growing my team. And I have visions now of this is the way I want my team to grow, cultivating those relationships with the IT folks. I'm reporting up through facilities now, which is not the most ideal. Steve is an architect who is my leader. And a colleague and I were thinking of some memes that we could write about Steve. Okay. I got into leadership because the door was open. And I had to make the choice either to go all in and do the best thing and grow on my own. So I guess I did cultivate that. And then just here I am. So I'm done.
All right. I'm going to come out with a jig in a few minutes. All right. So Danielle.
So, I mean, I think being a leader is different than just having a manager title. You can be a leader no matter what as an individual contributor. Leading is mentoring, leaders taking someone under your wing, leadership is getting involved in your national HTM society, taking a leadership role there. There are so many opportunities to be a leader, especially for the young professionals in this room. And, you know, I think like, to me, networking has gotten me where I am, like being involved. And, you know, I would just say that there are great managers that aren't leaders, and there are leaders that aren't managers. There you go. Sorry, I reversed it. But yeah, just take someone under your wing, mentor them, be genuine, you know, lead with empathy. We are there for the path to the patient. We are there. Every device we touch touches a patient, and that's leadership. And being able to grow and learn, like when I was young in the field, I would take the time to stay and scrub into a case to learn how that equipment is used clinically on the patient. When you're in-house and you're working on equipment and you understand how that device is used clinically, how it impacts patient care, the physicians and doctors and nurses that you're talking to will buy into you so much more, and they'll view you as a leader. So if I can leave anything, like, it doesn't matter about your title. Like, yeah, we've worked our way up and done that, but that's not, to me, just plain leadership. It's setting an example, being better, and making others around you want to be better.
Awesome. And I will add to that, it's ownership. Own it.
Mm-hmm. Accountability.
It's that accountability that you have. Own who you are and what you know and what you do. And anything you can bring to the table, show up for it. And that will show the leader in you. I think a lot of us do struggle with confidence, and that doesn't have to cripple you. Sometimes you have to pull up your big girl pants and say, you know what? I know this better than anybody else in this shop. I'm going to own this. Own it. Okay. We talked a lot last time, so
Get over it.
we're gonna go to the next question. You can start with the next question. We on question 2, girl. All right, so all right. How did you maintain a work-life balance throughout your career?
Let's go back to question.
No,
No.
let's start with this one.
All right, so I have a theory, and I live that theory, or it's my motto. It's what I do. ROI. I spoke to some women about it earlier, some people about it earlier. Return on my investment. Whatever I do, there has to be a return on my investment. Time, energy, finances, return on my investment. So if I decide I have 10 things I got to do, I look and see what has the return on investment of each one. Is it emotional? Is it financial? Is it physical? What is it? And then I prioritize that. And what are the timelines I need to do? I'll do a 30, 60, 90. Because like I said, I can't eat that elephant all at once. It's only one person. And in that return on the investment, there's some me time in there. I don't care if it's 15-minute nap and the kids better leave me the heck alone. Or just sitting in my room eating that slice of pizza or something so I can take a short break. But it's that ROI. So I would say if you guys have never thought about that, we always, especially as women, we react to whatever mom wants, dad wants, sister, siblings want, kids needs and stuff like that. Or what do we have to do? And it becomes this big bubble. Take that bubble, break it up. What's the return on investment? And hit that priority first. Because if you hit it one step at a time, you'll say, oh, okay, I'm halfway done. But if you try to hit it all at once and you get exhausted, guess what? You're starting all over again because now you got to regroup. So that's how I try to do my work-life balance. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. There've been times my kids have woken me up out of my car after I parked and I fell asleep because I'm exhausted from work and school. But if you take it slow and patient and methodical, you can do it.
Cool beans. Thank you, Almetha. Danielle.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's knowing your why. Why do you come to work every day? Why do you do what you do, right? I kind of talked about how I started my career, but now, for those of you who don't know me, I have 2 young kids. I have a 5-year-old and a 15-month-old. So one that just started kindergarten, And, obviously since I've had kids, my perspective has totally changed. Now I go to work every day and I try to set a good example for them. They see mom working, they understand the empathy behind our jobs. And I think now, being a working mom, I went home last night. I didn't stay here and party. I wanted to go home and see my girls, and I live an hour away. So like I was able to drive back and forth. And I think it's like making those choices and understanding, what means the most to you. I'm fortunate in Massachusetts, they do the Massachusetts paid sick leave. So when you have a baby, you can get up to 6 months off, which is really nice. Amy took care of me and they said I could take it. So, I knew I wasn't going to be a stay-at-home mom. So I figured now's my time to do it. I took 6 months off. And, it was real, and everyone I talked to in the field was so supportive, even though I took a long time out of my role, and I think it's really just knowing what you want, what matters to you, making tough choices and having a good tribe. Amy, I can't talk enough about the staff. They are so supportive, and finding that. And obviously just having good work friends. Like I know I pointed at Elena, but like we've worked together so much, and like finding like people like you. I remember meeting Elena, like, you like science? I like science. Like, let's be friends, like, so like, and I think it's just, and like the friendships, especially up here in New England, I feel the bond is strong. We all know each other at all the local hospitals. We're all friends. We could probably tell each other who works in all the hospitals across New England. And I think, having that tribe and people like you, because I know like we share negative stories, but it's not that bad. Like, I feel like, it's about your perspective. I was groomed in a male dominated environment, but they helped me. I wouldn't be here without every single one of them. And it was so nice to see them all on the floor today, 15 years later, So I think it's a lot about perspective, and work-life balance is part of perspective and making sure you're happy in every facet of life. Because if you're not happy at home, you're not happy at work. So.
All right, and I'm going to add to that. Sometimes you have to be selfish. Sometimes you have to be selfish and you think about you and what's in the best interest of you. And yes, you can do a lot of things at work, and they're going to demand a lot of you at work. But sometimes you have to say what has to be done today and what could wait. Because at the end of the day, you're going to be dragging your butt to the car. And then you have kids when you get home. It's okay to be selfish, as long as who's at home understand what you're doing. And like she said, the why, make some time for yourself. Even if you're dropping the kids off to a babysitter on a Saturday morning so you can have some me time, take that time. You work hard for your money. Spend a little bit of it on you, even if it's to go shopping or get a coffee or meet with some friends. Yeah, that too. But you have to make some time for you so you can make it through the next echelon of what's coming next. Okay, awesome. What type of support system have you built along the way, and how has this person or persons impacted your success? Let's start with you, Ann.
I think when I was offered the director position, the first conversation I had was with my husband. I said, this might take a little bit more of my time, knowing that in my leadership structure, I'm the only operational leader. And so I am doing supervisor, manager, director work. And so I wanted to acknowledge just, if I'm going to take this opportunity, this might demand a little bit more of my time. And so we might have to adjust things around the house. That has been helpful because, well, I occasionally have to remind him, that just, is part of being married for 34 years. But what he's done is, picked up some of the things that I used to do, and like, dishes and cleaning up and this and that, and that's helped me be able to carve out the time. Okay, I need to work. Yes, we'll have dinner, but I need to work till 7 o'clock. I just need to get this done. And sometimes that's the reality of, being in that titled position. Because I spent the day maybe supporting my team and putting out fires or attending to them. There's 22 different personalities and there's 22 different problems and 22 different fires to put out. But I think knowing that, things are not going to burn down at home, that I can put my attention to where it needs to be. And then when I'm at home, when I finally put the computer away on those days, then then it's off. And then we can get down to talking about what bills need to be paid and who gets control of the remote and those kinds of things. But yeah, I think that's just the reality of it. It's just putting it out there in plain simple words. This might take more time. What can we do to make this happen?
Okay, I'm going to step in for this particular question and respond on this one, because the type of support system that you build along the way is not just your family at home. It's also the people that you deal with at work, vendors, how you network in your career. If you're well networked, your career can be very easy, and you can have that support system you need for whatever you're doing. So my network, yes, it was my husband. We sat down and we talked about what my goals were and what I needed to do. I was a military soldier married to another military soldier, and we had 2 kids. How do we work it out so both of us can fulfill what we need to do at the job and do our careers? He was infantry. He was gone most of the time. So it was me and the kids. But it's about my network. It's about my network of friends, family, and business associates. They made my life easy. When I transitioned out of the military into civilian life, those contacts, those resources followed me. So when I would call for a part, there was a person at GE named Jewel. Oh, hey, Jewel. Hey, this is what I need. Girl, I got you. Didn't have to waste time on the phone. Oh, I'll just call you back when I got it. Okay. When it comes down to vendors, when I needed to go somewhere or do something or needed a part fast, it wasn't a fight for the PO. It was, hey, Jewel, we'll settle up on the back end. That way I can continue to lead my team instead of worrying about who's going to fix something when. They just came in. Your family is going to have your back. It's impacted my success because, as you will learn in this field, a lot of doors open for you when you're well networked. When you know a lot of people, a lot of great friends, at Will Society, I love them. And I'm like, yes. And all of my good friends and associates along the way, absolutely love it. So it is important that you and your spouse and your kids have that conversation at home. But it's also that you make those connections and build those networks for your career, people that you know you're going to use, vendors that you know you're going to use often. Create that network so you guys aren't wasting time with minutia and paperwork, and they can go and do the things for you that you need so you get some of your time back. It adds up.
I'm going to add 1 second to that. I've been at 4 different hospital systems, and the good thing about being local in Milwaukee and staying put is that the same vendors come and and don't burn bridges, just have professional relationships. But when you move from system to system, as the years go by, they know you and they'll respond quickly, very quickly. And you, like Jewel said, you can just dispense with that minutia in the middle and tell them what you need, and based on your history, and they know you as a professional, you know them as a professional, maybe even a little bit personally over the years. It really does help you along the way.
And if you're not part of Women in Leadership, we're a Women in Leadership group. You don't have to pay to be a member. It's just a LinkedIn group. So you're a member by joining our LinkedIn group. So you can scan this code. If you're not, please join. We'd love to have you and grow our network. So I don't know if you want to pass this around or like how we want to handle it, but here you go.
Okay, and we're gonna make this short.
And it's for women
sweet.
only, so just.
Sorry,
Yeah,
B-Hop.
yeah,
I
sorry.
see you're in the back. Sorry,
Yeah.
but maybe next time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. All right. So we're gonna keep this one short and sweet because we want to save enough time for questions. So, what accomplishment or accomplishments are you most proud of in your career? Let's start with you, Almetha.
I know it's not my career, but it helped me get through my career. So my best accomplishment that I'm most proud of are my children. As they got older, they went to the hospitals with me, learned how to do PMs. My son used to see me 3 o'clock in the morning doing papers. It was all for them to learn, not because I child labor, so I just wanted to make sure.
I didn't think that.
Were you thinking that?
Yeah, I wasn't thinking that.
But they saw me going to school, they saw me going to work, they saw me doing all this and sleeping and struggling and everything else, and they were not all self-focused. So they were compassionate. They understood mommy needed this time, and they were doing football, and I was going to the football games, and I was doing the rallies and stuff like that. So they were understandable at times when those moments came when I could not be there, and they didn't have the support that maybe other parents had. But they were always supportive of me in my career because I exposed them to that. And I think a lot of times we tend to hide our kids from those struggles, so then they don't really always understand them. But they got exposed. They couldn't have, they had to. It was only me, right? So they're the most proud of my career. And then the second thing I'm most proud of my career is coming from when I was in high school. Like I said, my father said I couldn't, they kicked me out of high school. I got 2 associate's degrees, a bachelor's, and 2 masters. So I do what I want to do.
All right, Danielle.
I don't really know. I mean, I'm just happy to be here, be part of this.
I'm just happy to be breathing.
I don't know. Just me. I don't know.
I love you. And
Oh, I don't know either. So as part of my extracurricular activities, I'm a Girls on the Run coach. So many of you might know the program. It's a 3rd through 5th graders life lessons, 8 to 10 week program, a life lesson every practice twice a week, and they train for a 5K. Our 5K is at Miller Park, or now it's called AmFam Field. And right now the whole program in southeastern Wisconsin has over 2,000 girls. Nice. So the race itself is probably girls times, a couple siblings, couple parents, there's a lot of people. I've been a coach for 10 years. And during that time, I've seen my girls and I've kept in contact with them. And I wrote letters of recommendation for college for them. One just got into Penn and she's going into nursing and getting her master's in healthcare education. She's brilliant. And she was one of my superstars, could throw down a 6:30 pace for the race at 9 years old. And right now I have a high school junior who is shadowing me at work because she learned that biomedical engineering and clinical engineering is like a cool thing. And so that's what I'm most proud of, is bringing the science and technology, STEM stuff to my girls at a very young, impressionable age to maybe hopefully direct their trajectory, but also instill good work, life, school, exercise balance.
awesome.
Can I add one more thing? This will be real quick.
One more.
Yeah. The other thing I'm real proud of is something we just started a year ago, and it's IHTM. So for y'all that don't know, IHTM is a network that me and Jewel and 3 other women, we put together, and it's all to teach you, to connect with you, to help unify our group as to understanding what are we doing, what do we need to learn, how do we grow, and how do we network to make sure that we have a voice to do what we need to do. So for anybody that's interested, I don't have anything here, but it's i-htm.mn.co. It's free. Right now, we're doing the cybersecurity certification that ISC Square is offering. So we have a study group doing that. Next month, I'll be doing the intro to medical device cybersecurity, so people understand what that means. And then maybe you can build it up to do other things. But I think there's things that we should know to grow and expand what we do. Go ahead.
Okay. So I'm just gonna cut what I'm proud of because we got like 5 minutes, and I would like to ask some questions. I would like to see if you guys have questions that you would like to ask. Anyone have a question?
There's one in the back.
Yes, one in the back. Okay.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, that works.
I love that. Make that
I'm
vote
54.
girl.
Yes, that would work.
Do you want me to take that? Yeah, I mean, well, from AAMI has the HTM certification. So obviously the CAB-T, which is for entry level, CBET is for folks that work as biomedical equipment technicians. Then there's the CRES if you're specialized in radiology, and then your CHTM, which is the leadership manager one. I'm happy to talk offline with you about any of them. I have my CHTM. I also got my PMP because we do a lot of project management in the hospitals. But I'm happy to talk offline about certification that AAMI offers.
We use the CBET as a career ladder milestone. So for the entry-level BMETs, if they would like to advance to senior level, we have them work for 5 years and then get their CBET within that first 5 years.
For supporting certification.
And then that would be their next, provided performance is going well, but that would be their next logical step up the career ladder in my
And
field.
it just shows that you took the initiative, right?
Yeah.
And you meet a minimum knowledge competency. You just always want to be ready for that next step.
Right.
So I think that's what we talked about. I talked about certification yesterday and just being ready. You never know when that next job comes. There's really no standardization around certification in the industry right now, but that is showing that you meet that minimum knowledge competency. So some hospitals require it, some don't, some give you a pay raise, but having when you look at the C-suite in hospitals, are you hospital based? Yeah, so if you look at the C-suite in hospitals, they have lots of letters after their name. It's deep in education, deep in credentials. So if you want to talk their language and move it up, then you need to get some letters after your name.
I'm also going to add in, I'm an Easter bunny. So I like a lot of different eggs. It kind of makes me eclectic, and I've been called a unicorn. So I know most of you biomeds, at least in the field, and I mean, maybe I'm wrong, who does projects? You might not lead them, but you've done some installs and things like that.
We got 3 minutes.
How come you're not using project management, going for certification project management? How come not using that experience and time to go for project management? Get that cert behind you. Cybersecurity is a major issue in healthcare. It's a free certification through ISC Squared. Right now, they're trying to get 1 million people certified. Go and get that free. They have the training and they give you the $200 voucher for that free training. There's free networking classes. There's free classes being offered for everything for you to learn. But when you're in a hospital, learn some networking, learn some cybersecurity, learn some project management, because guess what?
You have to be eclectic or you're not going to have
And ask your leader for those opportunities. Definitely.
Exactly.
I won't, we won't know that you're interested in something if you don't speak up and say, this is a pathway of interest that I like.
And even if you don't, like I worked at the VA, they didn't reimburse for my PMP, my project management. I paid for it myself and studied on my own. So, it's really just, sometimes you got to invest in yourself too.
And there's stuff out there for governance. Not everybody wants to turn a wrench. Maybe you want to do some policies, some procedures, some regulations, stuff like that. I never thought I'd work for a manufacturer doing their assessments, their vulnerability assessments, their SBOM regulations, their incident response plan, all those different things. But learning regulations, learning policies and stuff that's out there that affect us as biomeds, that affect our hospitals. Now you've opened up some other windows. Now you're able to take that biomed experience and knowledge and affect IT, governance, and other areas. So we don't always have to stay behind the wrench. Just look and see where the industry is at and where it's going. ChatGPT that and see if that's something that you want to do and go and explore.
All right.
Yeah, I
know.
So that's just where I'm
All
going
right,
for that.
I'm trying to get another question, but
Go ahead.
what I want to say is never stop adding to your tool belt because you don't know what tool that you have on your tool belt that you're going to need in your lifetime. So anything that's out there that's free, get it. PMP, I will definitely say, yeah, it's a must. I am not CBET, CHTM, CRES certified. I'm not. But what I did do was go to every kind of training class I could go to so that when I got out or in, I was able to use something I had in my tool belt to do the job. All right. Next question. Anyone? All right. This is like,
Yes.
What did you guys think?
Oh, I was just going to, there's also the CCE through the American College of Clinical Engineering for the clinical engineers out there as well. There's that certification as an option.
awesome.
Emily?
So I think it's when you did find out your kids are depending on how did that affect you? I think that's definitely where I am.
Well,
No,
I
you
mean,
get that.
I had hyperemesis and threw up for 40 weeks, both pregnancies. So I was also very sick. So I mean, I think it's, again, just taking care of yourself, right? I was one of those like IVers. I needed to go get hydrated. So, because I was so sick for so long. But, you know, I just being honest with work, letting them know what's going on. Obviously, you know, I have a great relationship with my boss, so he knew what was going on behind the scenes. I was supposed to have a board meeting at the AAMI headquarters, and I was 8 weeks along, and my doctor, because I was so sick, told me I couldn't fly because they were worried I'd get really sick. And, you know, I obviously had to tell him 8 weeks. I wasn't going to lie to him. So I told him at 8 weeks that I was pregnant, and, you know, but I think it's really just reshifting your priorities and making it work, having a positive attitude. Like, my life's not perfect. Like, I'm a train wreck sometimes. Like, I showed up to the Will event, I forgot my shirt, and I brought them a non-charged speaker. So I tried. And, you know, I just think, you know, no one's life is perfect, and just knowing, like, sometimes it's crazy, right? You're
But you were wearing a shirt.
And I did, I was dressed. So, I did show up with clothes, yeah.
Thanks for clarifying.
So, yeah, so, you know, I think you just need to, like, you know, take a step back and realize that we're all doing the best we can. And that's what I tell myself, even if you have like a tough conversation with someone doesn't seem happy. I think it's just that empathy and realizing you don't know what people are battling behind the scenes. And that goes with everything. So I think having grace and giving yourself grace, and then, you know, just doing the best you can, because you can't do it all the time. And people understand. I found people to be so understanding. So
You can't do it all, but you can have it all.
Yeah.
And like you said, network. So I had a peer, I had a coworker, like I said, I had 2 females and a female supervisor, 1 male. So my other peer and I, she would watch my kids when I need them, or I'd watch hers when she needs them. Because I'll tell you one thing, until you're okay at home, you're not gonna be okay at work.
Yeah.
So find someone that you can trust, that'll network with you, that'll share with you, that'll partner with you, if you don't have anybody else but you.
All right, so with that said, I see Christian kind of slowly making herself to the front of the room. I want to thank you guys with my whole heart for being a part of this. Thank you for allowing us to share our time with you and opening up so you guys can share your time with us. All of us are available if you all want to reach out. Oh, let me go ahead. There are all of our contacts. Take a picture of the screen if you want. Reach out, and we are more than willing and ready and available to help you with anything. Thank you guys so much for your time.
Thank you.